Don't forget to click that subscribe and bell icon to receive a notification each time I upload a new video. So it's Thursday, the 9th of September. I've had my hair cut. Bit of a trim this morning. I just sat at the computer when I got back from having it cut and just did work while Mum was sat in the living room reading. So she's brought some books with her to occupy her. Ian's been busy in the garage preparing for the steampunk show that he's got this weekend, or in your case now last weekend, which was at Crouch in Derbyshire. Great name for a place, isn't it? Crouch. So yeah, I'll let you know later on in this vlog how he did, because obviously this vlog starts today, Thursday 9th of September, and goes for a full week, so I should be able to tell you later on how he did. So yeah, time travel, great stuff. So I'm just on my way down to the hospital. Dad's obviously still in. Had his ultrasound on the carotid artery, whatever they call that thing, on his carotid artery, which they found completely clear. So today I think he's had more heart monitoring today, but I'll find out when I get to the hospital. We've had to buy him a new mobile phone because he's lost the charger for his current one, and it's so old that they don't actually make his model anymore, and none of the newer universal connectors actually fit it, because it's a jack plug, it's a pin rather than a flat spadey thing like on most Samsungs and Galaxies and other kinds of Androidy kind of phones, because obviously iPhones are different. Yeah, so his Nokia, his old Nokia, which had a full QWERTY keyboard on the front of it, which looked like an old BlackBerry, yeah, that's the one he's lost the charger for. We don't know whether or not he's actually lost it or didn't take it with him when the ambulance picked him up. I've had a look in his house, or in their house, and I can't see it. So he's either lost it or it's somewhere else in the house, and I've not been able to see it. So anyway, bought him a new one. It's just a little Alcatel flip phone with big buttons so that you can see the numbers, but I've already pre-programmed it with everybody's telephone number. So I sat and did that this afternoon for him, so he doesn't have to try and get people's numbers. I've put everybody's number in already, and I've topped it up because it's just one of these where you can pay as you go kind of thing. So I've put enough money on it, or enough credit on the phone, to last until at least Monday, providing he doesn't ring Australia or somewhere like that. So he should be okay. I mean, just for receiving calls on, it's perfect, providing he can hear it, but he's going to have his hearing aids in, because the girl in the shop that sold me it said that there was a loudspeaker function, but I can't find it, so she may have told me a porky pie, I'm afraid. But because it was such a inexpensive replacement, I can't really be too angry about it, but hey ho. Anyway, so that's me. It's Thursday, like I said, and I'm off to the hospital. So it's Saturday morning, just gone 8:30, and I've just taken Mr. Bentley out for his WALK. Ian's away at one of his steampunk shows, which means it's just me and Mr. Bentley today. So we get to have some quality time together. Hello, sweetie. Coming up. No, he's there, look. He's all happy, look. Got a hitchy face. Eh? Got an itchy face? Yes, I know. Yes, what a beautiful baby lad. Yes. So the good news is that yesterday, around about lunchtime, on Friday morning, on the 10th, we got a phone call from Dad saying he thinks that they're going to be letting him home. We then got a phone call from the discharge nurse from at the hospital, and also a phone call from the occupational health visitor, occupational health, or whatever it is, the ones that are responsible for making sure Dad's okay when he comes home, and basically saying yes, he's going to be coming home. It had his echocardiogram, so they knew exactly what kind of tweaks to do to his medication. They'd sorted his prescription out, and he was allowed to come home. So they were going to give me a ring when he was ready, basically, once he'd got his coat and all his belongings all packed up and that kind of thing. And then we didn't hear anything else for another 5 hours. Yeah, so we were sitting waiting for the phone call from the hospital for 5 hours for them to let me know that I could go and pick him up. So it took them that long to get his prescription and his new pills sorted out. And then eventually Dad phoned and said that it was on the move down to the discharge unit, and then I could go and pick him up. So Mum and I jumped into the car, drove to the hospital, picked Dad up, and took him home. And I made sure they're all settled in nicely, got his bag unpacked, and hello, made him a nice cup of tea, got him settled in, and then I've come away. So my brother and sister are going over this weekend just to see them and make sure they're okay, because I don't have any transport this weekend. Ian's taking the car away with him. He will be back tonight, but he won't be back until about 7 o'clock. So my other brothers and sisters are going over and checking out, making sure Mum and Dad are both okay. I will obviously be making phone calls to make sure that they don't need anything. And I will be going over on Monday. What do you want to say? What do you want to say? Do you want to say something? Is that what you're saying? No. Yeah. Or are you just loving me? Yeah, you're just loving me. Can I have a kiss? Thank you. Yes, you can have tummy tickle in a minute. Yeah, so that was yesterday. So like I said, this morning we got up at silly o'clock, 6 a.m. I sorted out Ian's lunch, packed lunch, and he filled the car up with all his stuff, and then he set off about 7. So he should have arrived at least 8:30ish. So I'm just waiting to hear from him just to make sure, or just to let me know that he's arrived on time. Look at this. I know. You're just desperate to be in today, aren't you? Hey, aren't you? You're just desperate to be in. Yes. So, yeah, so my plan today is I've got to do a little bit of work up on the computer. Obviously got to do I want to do a project today while it's quiet. Lovely. And obviously tomorrow I'm going to sit down and I've got another project, a little collaboration that I'm working on with 2 other artists for the end of September, and then of course it's 7 days of Halloween, so I'm going to start filming those this weekend, which is all going to be fun. So you may remember last week, I think it was, in last week's vlog, I showed you that we'd bought some evergreen plants for the hanging baskets, but when we got the plants home, we found that we hadn't got the liners for the hanging baskets because they'd inadvertently been thrown away. Well, I've now got some and I've planted up the hanging baskets, so I will show you what they look like. So if you remember, it was ivy that we'd got, and also a plum pudding heuchera. So those baskets now should last right the way through winter. So I did do 2, and this is the other one. Again, centered the ivy to the front of the basket. That one's still got a few flowers on it, which give you a little bit of height as well. But there's a few other bits and pieces still in the garden that's still flowering nice. I mean, look at that rudbeckia. Looks absolutely beautiful. And then there's the berries from the Mediterranean arums. I mean, look at those, just bursting with colour. So even though most of the summer flowers have gone, there's still quite a lot of colour left in the garden. The hydrangeas, see the leaves are also starting to turn that lovely kind of reddish golden colour, but there's still quite a lot. I mean, look at this. Petunias are still going strong in the big tubs. So even though we're getting towards that ebb, the end of the year, there's still quite a lot of colour in the garden. Could do with a bit of deadheading. Good morning. It's Tuesday, the 14th of September, and I've jumped in the car this morning. I'm going over to see Mum and Dad. You may remember Dad was released from the hospital on Friday, quite late. Over the weekend, I got a phone call from the occupational therapy nurse who wanted to book an appointment to go see Dad to see how he was coping with everyday kind of life and domestic chores and that kind of stuff, and whether or not they're coping or could cope with his diminished capacity, as she put it, which he hasn't really got. But anyway, so they booked in to see him on Monday, yesterday. My sister had also come up to see him yesterday after he'd got back from the hospital. Obviously she's on holiday for a few days, so came over just for a visit. So after the nurse had left, my sister phoned me and said that the nurse had recommended that Dad see a doctor. We get a doctor out to have a look at Dad, because when he'd been in the hospital they'd taken some bloods, and it looks as though possibly his arm had got infected with something, and it was swollen from the elbow down. So the nurse suggested that we have it looked at in case it's infected and needs, some treatment like antibiotics. So this morning, first thing, I got on the phone to Mum and Dad's doctor, excuse the bumps, Mum and Dad's doctor's surgery, to try and organise a home visit. But you've got to jump through so many hoops and leap over so many hurdles these days to get to see a doctor, what with the COVID thing still being quite prevalent amongst the medical fraternity, obviously, because they're still dealing with people that have COVID or getting COVID. So it's really difficult just to get an ordinary appointment to see a doctor. I think you've got to be bleeding out before you actually get to see anybody. But hopefully, I've got a call in for one of the doctors to give me a ring back, because there's no point ringing Dad, because all Dad will say is, oh, it's all right, and that'll be it, because that's what parents do when they get to a certain age. But anyway, so I digress. So calls into the doctor's going to ring me. I will tell the doctor that his arm is all swollen, blah 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 blah, and he needs to go out and have a look. But in the meantime, I'm going over just to keep an eye on them both. I'm going to maybe just suggest I do some chores just to lighten the load a little bit, maybe push the vacuum cleaner around. I've offered to do some shopping but because there's been somebody there since Dad got released practically on Friday, there was only Saturday when there's been nobody there. Sunday, obviously my brother went to see Mum and Dad. Monday, Leslie was there to see Mum and Dad. Now I'm going today, so hopefully there'll be somebody going, or try and get somebody to go every day until Dad's at least settled back in and we kind of know what he's capable of, if you get my drift. So anyway, so I'm going to go over and I'm going to stay there until I've spoken to the doctor, until I know what's going to happen. Right, so it's now 10 minutes to 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So it's been a long-ish kind of day. I'd only been at the house, well, first of all, before I got to Mum and Dad's, I stopped off at the pharmacy and picked up Mum's prescriptions and Dad's prescription, took those to the house. We just kind of sat down and started to go through the prescriptions and start separating them into their little tubs for the day, when the occupational stroke nurse, the therapy nurse, turned up. So she sat with us while we went through, and she's discovered that we haven't got all of the drugs that we should have. So she's organised that, but also there's this thing with this infection in his arm, which once the doctor had arrived at lunchtime, we'd also done a urine sample for the doctor on advice of the nurse, and the doctor did a urine test, and sure enough he's also got a urine infection. So not only is his arm infected, but he's also got urine infection too, which could explain a lot, particularly, you know, with his cognitive ability. So I've spent the rest of the afternoon chasing the doctor, chasing the surgery, the practice, and running backwards and forwards to the pharmacy to get Dad some antibiotics, because antibiotics here in the UK are prescription only, they're not available over the counter, which we've got now. So, and Dad's taken his first dose before I left. So hopefully, I've also left a telephone message for the stroke nurse, letting her know what we've done, where the antibiotics are and the type of antibiotic that he's got. So hopefully they'll be able to integrate it into what they do when they go. Apparently there's a nurse going to the house 3 times a day, so they're going to take over administering Dad's medication, so that there's no mistake, because obviously Mum's not quite au fait with, or she's not quite capable of pushing Dad to remind Dad, because she forgets herself, is what I'm trying to say. So she forgets. Dad will, obviously, with his diminished cognitive ability, won't remember, so the nurses are going to do that for them. So they're going 3 times a day, and the doctor did offer more help, but with the occupational therapy nurses going in anyway, I don't really see the point. That's a bit like overkill. It's not like they need tucking up in bed or anything. So hopefully, now we know that he's got the ear infection and he's got his antibiotics, we know that the nurses are going in 3 times a day to help administer the medication. Pretty much sorted. The only thing Dad has to do, really, is bloody well get better. No, No, don't push Teddy down the stairs. Rotten dog. I also promised you an update on how Ian did on his steampunk weekend at Crite. So I'm just about to go into his shed, his workshop. Oh, ta-da! Say hi. Let me turn the camera around. There we go. So, how did you do?
Well, there's a tail. It was quite slow to start with, but it really picked up, and it's a really, really good weekend.
It was Saturday and Sunday, wasn't it?
It was, excuse me. Showing the bra straps. Yeah, Saturday and Sunday. Saturday was a bit slow, but steampunks don't get out of bed till 11. You know, if you've been on the gin or the rum the night before, you know. But yes, it was a lovely weekend, and thank you to everybody that came, because I learned a lot of my customers who watched the video. So yes, as you'll see from that cupboard there, that one is empty, and then the other one has got some stuff I've been making this week in it.
What does that say? Fairy magic.
Mrs. Pomfrey's Fairy Magic.
Pomeroy's.
Pomeroy's,
That's
yeah.
interesting. But I'm afraid my eye has been caught by something else. What on earth is this?
Well, there's a tail. That is, in reality, Karen has cast me some crystal skulls.
So our friend Karen?
Yes, they're acrylic, but they are covered in beautiful ornate detail. I have a spare one here. Well, not a spare one, this is for something else. They are, I don't know whether you can see it or not.
Just pop it in my hand.
Okay.
There we go. That's it. So just see if we can try and get the camera to focus on the detail. Look at all that.
So Karen has cast me. That one's in
So this
slightly
is
cloudy.
This is slightly cloudy epoxy resin.
Yes.
So acrylic resin.
Yeah. But the other one you've just seen there is completely transparent. And I'll tell you why it's completely transparent.
Oh, go on then. Oh my goodness.
And I'll turn the light up in a minute, but you can see there's a halo.
There is.
The bird looks like the brain, but it's actually the back of the skull reflecting off the circular circular glass.
Cameras don't like blue LED
No,
lights.
they don't, do they?
Look at that though.
Should we turn the light off and have a look?
But you can see the halo at the back.
Yeah, it goes all the way around.
Yeah.
But in
That is
reality,
just-
that's not there. There isn't one.
Look at the way the light plays through it. That is absolutely...
It's got little lights at the front.
There's a fantastic English word for it, isn't there? Bonkers.
It's bonkers, yeah.
It's absolutely bonkers.
It's a skull from the upper slopes of the Machu Picchu with the Wonga Wonga tribe.
That may be slightly racist.
Maybe slightly racist. It didn't mean to be. And it has been given to Verne Industries to keep safe.
But look at that halo. That's just... What an added bonus. Wow. Look at it.
I'll turn the light off. You can see it in the dark.
I think you ought. Okay, so we've been plunged into semi-darkness a little bit. We need a little bit of light just so we can see you. Go on then, turn it on. Wow.
The brain is even more pronounced when
It is, look at that.
when it's in the dark.
That is just fantastic, isn't it?
And Karen also gave me the multicoloured LED ring that sits under it. They are the brightest LEDs I've ever seen. There are 6 under there, all running together.
That's just like I said earlier. That's
Bonkers.
just bonkers. I love these lights at the front as well. But yeah, absolutely fantastic. And back in the light.
This weekend I'm going to Saltburn.
Okay, Saltburn by the sea.
Yes, it's up past Whitby on the east coast of...
So it's north-east,
Yorkshire,
isn't it? Before you get to Middlesbrough and
Yeah.
Newcastle and that kind of thing. So I'm just spotted that on your desk as well.
Oh, this one?
Yes. I'm spotting a theme here, haven't I?
Well, that has a trick to it as well, but we'll share that later because I haven't
Okay.
finished it yet.
Right, okay, so that's maybe next week's.
That will be next week's because this is...
Yes. You will see this pop up in one of my 7 days of Halloween. Not the box, but this cast here, this resin cast here. You will see that pop up in one of my 7 days of Halloween.
This is Karen's mould.
Yes, which we've borrowed.
Yes, we have.
Borrowed, yes. She will get it back eventually.
So yes, I'll be up in Saltburn by the Sea this weekend. I'm really looking forward to it.
So what date is that?
What are we on today?
Not sure.
Let's
not
ask
sure.
the talking machine.
Just
15, 16, 18th and 19th.
Right. So it'll be the 18th and 19th of September,
Yes.
and it's where?
Saltburn.
Yes, but what's the venue?
I can't remember.
You're rubbish.
I am. It's no, it's gone. It's on a piece of paper somewhere.
I tell you what, I'll put it on the screen just here for
Well,
anybody.
Hang on, I can tell you where it is. Karen told me. I can't help it. I do my best. I can't be pretty and clever and do all this. Let's have a look. Karen sent me it, and it is.
Just talk amongst yourselves.
It is Saltburn House, Marine Parade, Saltburn by the Sea, postcode or zip code TS12 1DE.
Oh, there you go then.
So if you're passing,
yeah,
you know,
like that's likely.
like you're likely, but you may be, bob in and say hello.
I'd like to say a huge thank you to all of my angels, because without you, these videos would not be possible. Thank you.